I thought I'd do a quick lesson on people who are new to the faith and how they should approach things. So let's start with the biblical evidence on this. And that's going to come from Acts 15, verse 20. Abstain from food sacrificed to idols. I don't think that's going to be a problem in our faith or in our time. Abstain from sexual immorality. Not sexual immorality as the church defines it or how people define it, how the Bible defines it. So if you want to look at that, study Leviticus 18 and Leviticus 20. Don't do those things. Abstain from drinking blood. Again, I doubt that's going to be a real problem in our current situation, in our current life. And abstain from meat strangled. And again, in our country, that's really not going to be a problem. So the thing that really gets you is the sexual immorality. Don't trust what you've been told about sexual immorality. Look it up in Leviticus 18 and Leviticus 20. And if you hit one of those things, if one of those things is against you, if you're sleeping with your aunt, stop it. Same thing from adultery. If you're having an affair, and adultery is again really applies on the woman, but if the man is doing that, they're both guilty, so get out of it. Stop that quick. Now, once that's happened, and you get through that little portion of these four, then you can get to the fun parts. And realistically, let's take them easily. Realize that the greatest joy in this faith is learning. And reading the Bible helps you to learn, and it lets you understand how the Creator talks to you, and you really kind of pick up His personality the more you read. So I'm not trying in any way to stop that reading. I'm just trying to get you a little bit of a help in how this thing should start. So, first thing, honor the Sabbath. No work, no cooking. If you have to bake it or boil it, oh great. The pilot whales are in the water again today. Whatever you have to bake it beforehand. Whatever you have to boil it beforehand. So if you've got bread and you like to have toast in the morning, unless you like toast that's already been toasted the night before, I wouldn't do toast. And again, if you want to have it that way and do it earlier, that's fine. It just won't be warm toast. It's not that big of a deal. You'll find in this faith that once you get through things and you get used to it, it becomes very easy. And people who are outside the faith always say, well, you can't eat, you'll starve. I gain weight. We all probably gain weight on Sabbath. It is the biggest eating time that we have. It's a feast. So don't worry about that. 2, and one of the other things about that, let me kind of go back to Sabbath for a minute. If you forget about something, let's assume that you're saying, oh, I forgot to cook this. Then don't cook it and don't eat it. Fasting is appropriate on a Sabbath. It's not going to kill you to fast, and it'll teach you the next time to cook it beforehand. So instead of sinning, just don't do. So that's probably the best advice on all things in this faith. When you realize there's a problem, find out what the safe aspect is. Do the safe until you know what the reality is and study it. It can take days and it can take weeks for a simple answer to come through. From a simple question, it took me probably 2 weeks, maybe not that long, about shaving to make sure I was very comfortable. So I didn't shave for 2 weeks until I knew the answer. And felt comfortable with that answer, that I could answer on that. You're going to find you're going to look through that for Exodus 16 to 23, 20 and 8, 31:14, Leviticus 23. Those are all the major days. Now, before I go forward and leave the Sabbath, also realize there is a high Sabbath. And on a high Sabbath, you're allowed to cook. So just as I said, find out what's safe. What happens if a high Sabbath is on the same day as a Sabbath? Should you cook or not? And I think my answer would be probably not, even though you could, because it says high Sabbath. Which one takes priority? Is the high Sabbath above the Sabbath, or the Sabbath above? And so just again, there are so many foods that we can do beforehand. You know, you can do a salad. You never have a worry on a salad. You know, vegetables are easy. Vegetables are only a problem when you try to cook them. But doing a salad, I mean, it's no big deal to get some dressing and put it on something. So that's simple. It doesn't say you can't cut the food. It just, or dice it. It just says not to cook it or boil it or bake it. You're not boiling or baking for anything on a salad unless you're trying to do the meats and things like that. It's just as easy to get those things already sliced up and then dice it on there. Second item after the Sabbath, only eat clean foods. You will learn there's a lot of differentiation on what is a clean food and not a clean food, so it takes some time to get used to that. Some of the foods that are listed as clean, we really don't ever see to eat. I mean, my favorite of all the meats is elk. And it is the best tasting meat out there I've ever found. And it's clean. Whereas venison, which is deer, is also clean. I hate the taste of venison. So, kind of weird. They're both in the deer family, but I love one, I hate the other. And one of the things that happens when you come to our faith is basically, if you saw anybody in our faith shopping in the first couple months, they're grabbing every box and reading the ingredient list. I had to start taking glasses with me. I actually even wanted to do an app on our phone so I could have a listing of what is clean and what is not and just do a bar scanner. I actually put the bar scanner on my phone to do that. Kind of petered out from there. But again, it's a real factor to look at that list because they put pork and shellfish and everything. And I mean everything. So try to eat clean. That's the second thing. Third, real simple, wear tzitzit. And it says on the four corners, and most people put it on their belt buckles. That works perfectly. One of the things I've also learned, if you've got a long sleeve shirt, and I don't have a long sleeve shirt on, but they have cuffs, and usually that's four corners. And you've got a buttonhole right there already pre-made. I've got a couple tzitzit on some things I like to wear in the winter with long sleeves. Perfect. It fits. It does the requirements. One blue thread. I use white only as the other ones, and I usually use 3, but I can, it doesn't give us a number. You could use 1 blue and 1 white, and you're fine. It doesn't say white. Most people do white, but it doesn't say the other color. Fourth thing, and this is going to be real easy, especially with what's going on, because you are studying like freaking crazy when you're new in the faith. Study and teach your children. Do it daily. Again, that's pretty easy. It's not going to be a stress point. Verses on that are going to be Deuteronomy 4:9 and 11:19. The fifth thing, and this is one of the easiest things you could do. It's going to take 15 minutes of your life, and you don't have to worry about it again. And you've knocked off one whole command without ever having to worry about it. Go through your closet. Look at your tags. How horrible was it for people 300 years ago? They didn't have tags in the back of their clothes saying what the clothes were made of. We do. It's not cotton and wool. It is linen and wool. It's very unlikely you're going to have anything linen. I have like 2 pair of shorts that I love that are linen, and I love wearing them. And that's it. So, but go through your closet, look at your tags, and see if it says linen. I wouldn't even worry about the word wool until you see the word linen. Once you see linen, then look for wool. If it has both of them, toss it. Takes 15 minutes of your life. It's done. And then when you get ready to buy new clothing, look at the tag. It's real simple. And again, once it's done, you never have to worry about it. You never have to worry about pulling something out of your drawer saying, I wonder if it's clean or not, because you did the check. It's done. Boom. This is a real fun one. Be fruitful and multiply. It's one of the requirements. So if you're single, obviously wait. If you're married, smile. Genesis 1:28. Now, some of those were kind of simple. Some of these things coming up are things that carry a death sentence. So if you recognize you're doing one of these things, stop it now because it carries a death sentence. Committing adultery, stop it quickly. Deuteronomy 22:22. False prophecy. Real issue. Deuteronomy 13, 17, and 18. It's a death sentence issue, so stop it. Witchcraft, including necromancy, magicians, and weirdly enough, gastromancy, which is really weird. I had to look up this thing. It's only in the Greek Septuagint that you'll find this word. The word used was agastrimethos, which means gastromancy, which is a deep guttural sounding. And what I think of is how the Tibetans do that, and I'm like, man, what the heck? I'm doing it as an example. Goodness graciousness. They do a guttural sound. Don't do it. Don't be an idiot like me. Daggone, man. There's a full goat for me, just in an idiotic point. Blaspheming the name of the Creator. And all the prior things were Leviticus 20:27. And again, the gastromancy you'd have to look up. It's only going to be in the Greek Septuagint version. Blaspheming the name of the Creator. 24:10 through 16. So if you're doing it, stop it. Then there's all kinds of additional commands for different groups, for priests, for women, for men, for farmers, for leaders, for people in the military, just all kinds of groups. So take your time and learn them. And welcome to that enjoyment of learning them. It's a great enjoyment.